So before we begin, I do want to acknowledge that we are carrying out this presentation on the unceded territory throughout California of nearly 200 tribal nations. Today, I am speaking to you from Kitch, Tongva land down here in what is known commonly in common day as Southern California and Long Beach, California. We acknowledge and honor the original inhabitants of the various regions of California, and we encourage you to learn more about tribal nations that are indigenous to your area. One great resource, I believe, has already been put into the chat, which is nativeland.gov, and it is a really great resource to start learning about the native territory you are currently on. And without any further ado, I will be introducing our speaker. Today, our speaker is Dr. Sandoval Solis, and he is a member of the University of California Naturalist Program Advisory Committee. So he kind of sits on our board and helps us out making important decisions for our program. He's an associate professor at the University of California, Davis, and a cooperative extension specialist in water resource management at the Division of Agricultural and Natural Resource, UCANR, which is the program that California Naturalist is under as well. This dual role as a professor and a specialist, he is responsible for California statewide outreach and education and applied research on water resource management for UCANR. He is a professional, and as a professor, he is responsible for fundamental research and teaching and graduate student mentorship at the development of land, air, and water resource in UC Davis. His research interests focus on integrated water resources management through a holistic approach, mixing different methods, tools, and processes to improve water resource management. Welcome, Dr. Sandoval, and I'm going to hand it right over to you.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, and I'm very, very excited to be here. So, okay, some of the things that typically happen here. So my name is Samuel Sandoval. I'm similarly like Sammy. I'm from Davis. I'm home of the Parwin. So recognizing that. Okay. You will have the luxury today to be guinea pigs. No, so basically what we're going to do today is I will go with you through the chapter number 3 of the California Water Naturalist Handbook. So why is that? Well, I want to take this opportunity to train you on, in this case, water for the California Naturalist program. So I hope that you enjoy this conversation, and let's get started. So, okay. So, yes, definitely, yes. I think that the true goal of California is its water resources, and I think that's why water is so important in the state. Now, let me start with the water cycle. So I'm pretty sure that all of us, we have seen the water cycle figure like this one, but it is good as a refresher of the water cycle. Why is that? Because when I'm thinking that you're outside, I want you to recognize all the different components. So we are going to have evaporation, then we're going to have the clouds. The clouds will condensate, and then we're going to have precipitation. And precipitation may fall in terms of rainfall or snow. Some of that precipitation will end up recharging or infiltrating into groundwater, and some of it will end up as runoff. Most of it will head back into the ocean, but we have also some lakes, some inland lakes. So let me actually go ahead here and talk about first, in terms of the water cycle, I want to talk about our climate. So specifically, we are in a Mediterranean climate. What does that mean? That it doesn't rain during summer and fall, so that is called the dry season, and it rains during winter and spring, so that is called the rainy season. Make sure that you keep an eye on it, because basically on your field notes, you're going to be having to write down this. The next thing is the orography. And in terms of the orography, as you can see, we have the coastal, well, we're gonna have the ocean, the coast range. And here, these ranges, these mountains are an orographic barrier that are the ones that generate, in this case, rain. And when we go above 5,000 feet level, which is the snow line, then we're gonna have mostly snow. So here, two very important concepts. The mountains are a barrier. These barriers, when the moisture moves up, it will generate precipitation. Typically, if it is above 5,000 feet, it's gonna be snow. If it is less than 5,000 feet, it will be rain. Now, let me see if, okay, first thing, I'm gonna do this. And the second thing is that I'm going to do, how can I, let me see if I can, okay, here. So this video that you're gonna see is a video in Angel Island. So I went to do a hike in Angel Island, which is in the middle of the San Francisco Bay. And what you're gonna see is how this orographic barrier is impeding the movement of the moisture here. So let's see.
So I'm in Camp Reynolds, and as you can see, somewhere there it looks the Golden Gate. But you can actually see how all the moisture coming from the ocean is moving inland. That, which it should be the coastal range, the north part of the Golden Gate, is an orographic barrier that is impeding that all the moisture is coming just straight forward, and as it moves up, it will deposit some water. It may have some moist, some dew, and you can see because there is a lot of vegetation there. Very nice place for you to come. I'll see you around.
So these are some of the videos that I've been putting for the California Naturalist, and the idea here is that you kind of see when you're out, what I was telling you, to actually look at the water cycle. So here we have the ocean, we're gonna have some evaporation, some clouds, some condensation, these orographic barriers, and then precipitation. So this is super cool. I don't know, but I'm always happy to see some of these things. Now, in California, we have something that is called an atmospheric river. That's another term that I want you to recognize. So atmospheric rivers, they look like that. They look like a lot of moisture in the air. So think of them that you're seeing the sky and you're seeing this band of moisture, which is now here in this kind of green and warm colors, that is moving in the ocean and is moving well, through the air and is hitting these orographic barriers. As they are hitting these orographic barriers are bringing a lot of rain. Why is this important? So these atmospheric rivers, they last from 2 to 3 days, and they are responsible for 40 to 60% of the precipitation in California. To be more specific, when we're seeing an atmospheric river, if we have 3 atmospheric rivers in the year, we're gonna be in a drought year. If we have 5 or 6, we're gonna be on a wet year. The odds of California to be in a dry or in a wet year depend on the atmospheric rivers. So let me show you how they look like. So again, here it is. This is all the moisture in the air, and look how it is impacting California. As this moisture is moving inland in California, it is depositing in the coast. On this area is depositing rain, and in the high elevations, about 5,000 feet, it is depositing snow. This, what you're seeing there, is an atmospheric river. And this is how we get most of the precipitation in California. We have isolated rains, but these are the good ones. This is so in other parts of the world, they have hurricanes, monsoons, and so on. Here, what we have is atmospheric rivers. Okay, now so precipitation in California, most of it falls in terms of snow. These lakes collect a lot of the water, and we can use it for animal use, for consumption. But basically what you're seeing here is this. these different colors represent different mean annual precipitation. So think that we have a bucket and we are counting how much rain, how much precipitation falls into that bucket. In these areas, it falls less than 5 inches on average per year. 5 inches, not that much. Now, in these areas here, in the green ones, it falls 100 inches. 100 inches is something like this one. I'm 5'7", 5'9". 100 inches is 2.5 meters. It's like my hand. It's a lot of rain on average. The problem is that it is on average. Sometimes it rains less, sometimes it rains more. And remember that if it goes above this 5,000 feet level, it will go in terms of snow. As you can see here, where we have these orographic barriers is where it is raining. When we have the orographic barrier and then the moisture, so basically what it will happen is that we have the moisture, it will move up and it will deposit rain. When it goes down into the valley, we have what is called the rain shadow. So you can see that in most of these places here, because the moisture is going once again down, after it passed this orographic barrier, it doesn't rain. So it doesn't rain in the Central Valley, but in the orographic barriers, we have precipitation. The same here, we have the rain shadow on this end. Now, let me show you the snow and the snowpack. So this is April 2011, April 1st. Why? This is a Landsat, a satellite image of how much water, the depth of the snow on April 1st. Why is that? Because basically in April 1st, we think that that will be the last day when we have an important snowstorm. After that, it will be some storms, some snowstorms, but not that many. This is the snowpack that we have to be melting and throughout the rest of the summer. Also in April 1st is, well, on 2011 is when I was interviewing to get my job here at UC Davis. So I remember flying the plane and seeing all the Sierras full with snow. What you're seeing here is the same, but now in 2012. This is April 1st, 2012. So this is the first year of the drought, of the last drought. This is the second year of the drought. This is the third year of the drought. This is the fourth year of the drought. This is the Sierra Nevada without Nevada. This is the snowy mountains without snow. Yeah. This is the fourth year of the drought. This is the fifth year of the drought. Now, what I'm going to show you is the wettest year on record. This is the year where we had the most precipitation in the last 100 years. This is 2017. So please compare it with this, which it was a wet year, but not that much. So there you go. The wettest year on record. How does the snowpack compare to another wet year? It is not that much. And why is that? Because the weather is getting warmer. As we're getting warmer in April, we're having less snow. And why the snow is important? Because think of it, that is a time machine. It falls in a certain part of the year, and it stays there and it melts slowly until summer when we need it. So that what you're seeing is the wettest year on record. Now, here we go, 2011, which is another dry year. Here we go to 2019, which is a wet year. This is 2020, which it is a dry year. And this is this year, which is another dry year. The other thing that I want you to notice is that in the last 10 years, we have had only 3 wet years and 7 dry years. The averages doesn't work in California. We either have a dry year or a wet year, but we have nothing in the middle. and that is stressing actually our ecosystems, our ecosystems. Okay, so we have pool number 1, and I hope that oh, here we have it. So question number 1, what kind of climate does California has? Tropical, cloud, or Mediterranean? Wink, wink. And here, what are the main orographic barriers? The Sierra, the Coast Range, the Trinity Alps, San Bernardino Mountains, Tehachapi, all of them. Which rain events brings 40 to 60% of the rain in California? Okay, so.
Looks like folks have been listening.
Yes, that's super good. So Mediterranean climate, yes, all of the above. We have the Sierra Nevada, we have the coastal range, we have the Trinity Alps, yes, that is true. We have Alps in California. And we have the San Bernardino Mountains, yes, the Tehachapi Mountains. So all of the above, and yes, atmospheric rivers are the ones that bring a lot of precipitation on the state. Okay, so let's keep going here. So now I'm going to start getting a little bit more technical. So what is the watershed? Think of a watershed. Is the area of land in which, if it rains, all the water that rains will go to one point. So how does that work? Let me see. This is how it works. So think that in this area, it rains. All that water will be going into the rivers, and it will flow to one point that is called the outlet. So, ta-da! Watershed is an area. And again, this area, if it rains on none of it, it will collect all that water and it will have a single outlet. The outlet can be the ocean, or the outlet can be another water body, a lake. It transports nutrients and provides habitat for dependent species. Now, the second point here is the watershed location. So we can be in the headwaters. So think of you when you're hiking. Which part of when you're hiking, what is the part of the watershed that you're located? As we have north, south, east, and west, now think of this in terms of river location. Are you located in the, and that's actually quite interesting, the Yurok, some of the tribes in Northern California, their geographic position, they are a reference to the river, close to the river, far away from the river, upstream or downstream. So think of this now that you're adjusting your geography towards the river. So are you in the headwaters? Are you in the foothills? Are you in the valley? We have the river main stem, but we may also have some tributaries. We also have the floodplain, and then typically at the end we have the estuary and the bay. So these are the main locations of any one of us that we are on the land. These are the main locations if we think about it in terms of a watershed. Something very important. All of us, regardless of where you are, right now you are on a watershed. So that is super cool. All of us, we live in watersheds. Now, the following thing is that scientists really like to classify, and I think that's good. So when you think of this river, think of it that we want to get what are the different stream orders. The order of the stream tells you how powerful the river is. So you start from the headwaters to the outlet. So these initial tributaries, you number them as number one, like here. Now, when two number ones get together, it goes to a different order, which is number two. So you can see in the headwaters, small creeks are number ones. When two small creeks get together, now the number of order will be number two. Until you get two number twos, you can move to number threes. So number two and number one, it will be once again number two. And this is a way to classify streams. The larger the stream order, the more water, the more energy that the river will have. This was just a way to simply classify rivers. But let me actually show you an example. So Brooke and the rest of the people will help me out in here. This is a watershed that is located in Hopland Research and Extension Center. And as we have this watershed in here, actually, you can see the watershed in here. This is an experimental watershed. So basically, it is an area where it rains, all the water will go out in this point. This area, it is, as you can see, it was deforested. Back in the 60s, people were thinking about how to get the most water out of a watershed. It was, we had a very extractive way of thinking of nature. When I say extractive, we were thinking how to get the most out of the nature. And in this case, it was the most water. What they basically did, as you can see from the other neighboring basins, they were trying to get rid of the vegetation. If you get rid of the vegetation, the forest will, or the trees will not get water from the watershed, and all that water you can collect it in the outlet. That was the principle. So what they did, they really get rid of all the vegetation. You can see that after 50 years, we have some vegetation coming back, but not that much. Anyways, this is an experiment of a watershed that we have the same principle. When it rains in all this area, all this water will be collected in one point. Now, seeing this, we can start thinking of a stream order. I know that you were thinking that as I was thinking of it. So these two small creeks are number one. When two number ones get together, you will get a two stream order. Here we have two number ones or small creeks. When two get together is number two. Two number twos add to a number three. And there are three and a one. You need two trees to go into a number four. But basically, this is how it will work out here, this stream order. This is a watershed that I typically hike every year with some students, some college students. And you can see that we go in there and I teach them the water cycle. As I am sharing this with you, we get our feet on the river and we measure them. So that is very nice. Okay, so next part. In California, so we were talking about watersheds. Think of a watershed. So the family is the unit of the society, and a group of families, it will make a community and it will make our society. Watershed is the smallest unit on the land. And when you get many watersheds, you get a basin, well, a sub-basin and then a basin. So think of it as the watershed as the unit of area, and you get many of them. You're gonna get a larger area, and that larger area, it will be a basin. So for instance, we have the Russian River Basin, or we have the Eel River Basin, or the Mad River Basin, or the Sacramento River Basin. Those are called hydrologic regions. Now, let me actually, we have so this is very important. We have in California 10 hydrologic regions, and it's an easy number to remember. These 10 hydrologic regions are the Sacramento, San Joaquin, Tulare, North Coast, San Francisco, Central Coast, South Coast, South Lahontan, North Lahontan, and Colorado. Those are the 10 hydrologic regions. So the Sacramento, it will go from this is the Sacramento River, the Sacramento Basin. So all of this area is drained by the Sacramento River into the San Francisco Bay. The Sacramento River has different tributaries, the McCloud, the Pitt, Dare, Feather, Yuba, Bear, and American. Then we have the San Joaquin River, and the San Joaquin River, it has different tributaries that are the Cosumnes, Mocolum, Calaveras, Stanislaus. So tributaries are, it was called more like that tribute their water to the main stem, to the main river. So that's what is called tributaries. We have also the Tulare Lake. Yes, Kings, Cahuilla, Tule, and Kern. This used, in here, there used to be an inner lake that it was called Tulare Lake, where now is all the agricultural farm. We drain it, and now it is no longer a lake. It is just agricultural land. The North Coast, the Klamath, the Math, the Eel, and the Russian. Oh, sorry. The next one will be the San Francisco Bay, all the rivers that drain into the San Francisco Bay. The Central Coast, we have San Benito, Pájaro, Salinas, Santa Maria, Santa Ynez. The South Coast, Santa Clara, so all the Santas and all the saints, Santa Clara, Los Angeles, Santa Ana, Santa Margarita, San Diego, Tijuana River, Colorado River. Then we have the ones that are here in the Lake Tahoe area, which is the Lake Tahoe and the Truckee River. Then we're gonna have the ones that are here in this area, which is the Owens and the Mojave. So those are the 10 hydrologic regions in California. Whew, this is important. Wetlands. Wetlands are these areas, these zones in between, well, that gets inundated, depending on the season that we are. And it can get, as they get inundated, these are very highly productive zones. The vegetation, the animals that live here, they get very specialized. They are very specialized. They adapt to this kind of dry and wet conditions. Estuaries are this portion where the rivers are meeting the ocean, and this part that is not fresh, that is not salty, that is saline, it is the estuaries. Why estuaries are very important? Well, if you like sushi, that's kind of where food comes. There is a lot of fisheries that they are that all the fishes get their food in there. These places where we have the mix of fresh water and seawater are the most productive ones. When someone asks you like, hey, why do we want to let the rivers reach the ocean? Well, basically those are the rivers that are supporting the highest animal productivity. Let me show you this. This is a video that I recorded on, this is the mouth of the Russian River. So this is in Jenner. And what you're gonna see here is the productivity of the estuary. So you can see that we have a tidal event, so the ocean is getting in. This is the estuary, so this is where the river is joining the ocean. You can see all the sea lions. They are taking the sun. And a lot of fishes will be migrating towards this area. You can see all the nutrients in here. It is very important. It's very important that rivers reach the ocean. We have all these intertidal zones. It's all these kind of 30 miles of coast that we have. Most of the people in California live in. So we are really close to our oceans, and not letting rivers go into the oceans have a detrimental effect on the kelp forest, on all the marine ecosystems. Okay, now we have pool number 2. Let's see. So I live in a watershed, yes or no? What is a watershed? And then how many hydrologic regions are in California? Select all the rivers that are part of California. Okay. Okay, so let's get going. So I live in a watershed. Yes, all of us live in a watershed. What is a watershed? An area of the land in which rainfall converges to a single point. Super nice. Next one, how many hydrologic regions are in California? 10. Great. Yes, all these rivers, the Colorado River, Sacramento, Tijuana, Klamath, and Salinas, all of them, they are in California. Yeah. So let's, so we have some good results. I think every people have been following the conversation. Yeah. Now, let me actually get to, wow, river ecosystems. Okay, so we are a California naturalist. So typically we talked about the environment, but when we talked about the environment, it is very generic. It is kind of, it is like, hey, where are you going? Well, I'm going out there. You know, okay, sure, but what part of out there are you, right? It is the same, the environment. When we talked about the environment specific for rivers, we talked about, here. So we talked about for river ecosystems, what lives in the river, and what lives in the river is freshwater ecosystems. That's how we call them. So what lives in the river, think of that you are putting some goggles on your eyes and stick your head into the river. You're gonna see beavers, you're gonna see aquatic flora, you're gonna see fishes, you're gonna see, well, not necessarily that you're gonna see, but you can have in a microscope, phytoplankton, zooplankton, invertebrates. So that's what lives in the river. Also, what lives along the river. So that is called riparian ecosystems, what is living in the shorelines. And those are plant communities, invertebrates, reptiles, amphibians, birds. So that is kind of the second ecosystem that we're talking. You can see here that the riparian ecosystem, so we are going to have this ordinary watermark. Think that every year, so think that you're looking at your favorite river and you're seeing it 365 days. What will be the highest point, or the point that usually every year the river increases its flow? That is called the ordinary high water mark. Sometimes we're going to have larger floods and that will go into the floodplains. But that area where the trees are drawing water from the roots from the river is called the riparian ecosystem. Yeah. Next one, terrestrial ecosystem. And that is just upstream or above the riparian ecosystem. And we have mammals, primary producers, forests. We have others. And that is what lives around the river. The rivers help all these ecosystems. Let me share with you some of these kind of pictures of those. So again, the Russian River. So you can see here, this is what is living in the river and all the riparian ecosystem. Now, this is during a dry year. This is during a wet year. It is somehow exactly in the same position. Now the water is full. Not sure if you can see here, but there are some branches of trees in this tree. What that means is that the river went very high up, that it put these three branches on this high on the trees. You can see actually the high mark sometimes when you're looking at trees around close to the river and see where all the debris, all the brushes are got stuck into the trees. So freshwater ecosystems is what lives in the river, and the riparian is along the river. Now, terrestrial ecosystems, this is again when I do the hike there in Hopland. You can see that we have grasslands, that we have some oak trees, oak forests, and some bushes. Here you can see that we have the higher areas and some agriculture. This is the mouth of the river. This is where you were seeing the video. This is an estuary where the fresh water is meeting the salty water. You can see here that because of this was in winter, it is also transporting sediment. So it looks muddy. But this same picture during the dry season, it doesn't look that muddy. It's just water going out. So this is a marine ecosystem. This is an estuarine ecosystem. And then we're gonna have upstream freshwater ecosystems, riparian and terrestrial. So this is kind of getting the jargon of when we're talking about the environment, is all these different kind of ecosystems that we're referring to. Okay. The streams have, what gets into the streams, it can be from the biological. That means that all the leaves, all the trees that falls and get into the river. So those are the biological inputs. And why they are important? Because as they degrade, they will create nutrients, they will create carbon that helps to produce food in the river. Chemically, it is the same. We can have those different productions of nutrients because the rocks, so think of the volcanoes and the rocks in there, as they are being, you have rain, snow, and water passes, it is carrying all those nutrients, all those salts that are good for the environment that lives in the river. Finally, we have the physical components, and basically the physicals are landslides or the sediment that is moving from the land into the river, and that is called colluvium. So what is moving to the river? And then the river has energy to move that sediment that is now in the river. And when the river moves the sediment, all the gravels, sand, small sediment, that type of material is called alluvium because that is already in the river. I know some terminology there. Now let me actually tell you, I know that you're seeing again all the students there. This is a landslide. I'm not sure if you can see it, but the land was kind of here and then we have a landslide. I think here it looks a little bit better. You can see how we have these landslides throughout the watershed. This is colluvium. This is sediment that was in the hills and now is getting into the river. The next one, so all the river that is moving all this gravel, sand, and some cobbles here, that is alluvium. That is a material that is moving by the river itself. The previous one, sorry, this is due to gravity. And also these large boulders that eventually will end up here. The other one is moved by the force of the river and the rain. Okay, so I will have to hurry up here. A healthy ecosystem needs water quantity, water quality, needs good habitat, good channels, good channels to live with. And it should be connected from the headwaters to the ocean. It should be connected the floodplains to the main stem, and it should be connected the surface water and the groundwater, like here. So, in terms of quantity, this is extremely important. This is the natural flow of California. If prior to the European colonization, we would live with the native communities, the indigenous communities here, we will have in this upper area above 5,000 feet, snowmelt rivers. This, what you're seeing here this is time and this is flow. Basically during October, November, December, the river will be very shallow. As the snow is melting, the stream flow, the discharge will increase until the peak, which is late spring. Once the snow is gone, the river will go down. So this is a signature, is the fingerprint of a snowmelt river. This one here that you see that is very jaggedy, that it has these zigzags, it means that it comes a rain, it has a flow, and then it doesn't have any. It comes a larger rain, it will be here, and then it goes down. That is basically how they look like. When you have this jaggedy, that they look like you have rain, you have a high flow. It doesn't rain, you have a base flow. Those are rain dominated and are all these blue rivers here. When these two have a baby, you have a mixed river. And basically they are, it has the jaggedy in the beginning of the season, and it has the hump of the snowmelt. So these rivers here are located in between the rains and the snowmelt. So you can see why they are green. And actually we did that on purpose. If you mix yellow and blue, you get the color green. So that's why these are green colors here. So we have snowmelt, mixed, and rain. The one other thing is that rivers are perennial. It means that they may have water naturally all year round, or they are ephemeral. Sometimes they have water at certain point during the rainy season, and sometimes they don't. So these are, you can have rivers that are ephemeral or perennial. Water quality. We need all these components: temperature, turbidity, salinity. Perhaps here the most important thing is that you can have bioindicators. So amphibians, fishes, beavers, cottonwoods, they are very good indicators of healthy rivers. If you see an amphibian, because the amphibians have their skin very, very sensitive, any problem with water quality, you will not have amphibians. So here, so in terms of habitat, think that you're going from the mountain to the ocean. So rivers in the mountains, in the headwaters, are steeper. Rivers that are going into the valley, they are not that steep. They are shallow. This is, so if you look at the rivers, the natural rivers, they can have these kind of different forms, and then small cascades. They may have pools, they may have constrictions, and you can look a lot of them. Rivers, or they may have different fingers, they may have different threads, they may have different canals, backwaters. Those are healthy rivers. Sometimes they have meanders. A not so healthy river is one that typically it looks like an agricultural canal. If you're seeing the river and the river, it looks like it is going in a box, that you're on top of the river and the river is just going down, 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 and it looks like a box, that is a non-healthy river. Also, non-healthy rivers, they have levees on the side. They may have riprap. That's how you can identify if the river look like an agricultural canal, or that is very in size, that it really looks like a box, that is a non-healthy river. If you see that the river is shallow, that it can go to the sides, to the floodplains, that is a healthy river. A lot of these different channel types we have mapped throughout the state. I've been traveling throughout the state to map what are the different channel types on every reach of every river of California. I've really been traveling to rivers, and they are super fun. That is the Burning Falls. Okay, last one, connectivity. Remember that rivers have to be connected from the headwaters to the ocean. What impedes some of this connectivity are dams. Dams impede the connectivity from the headwaters to the ocean. Transversal connectivity from the main channel to the floodplains, they are typically impeded by levees. So we have levees that impede that the river goes into the floodplains. Vertical connectivity is surface water with groundwater. A highly use of groundwater will disconnect a river's surface water, the aquifer with the river, and the river with the aquifer. That it is throughout the Central Valley. I'm really sad to report that. The San Joaquin River, it is highly disconnected. Let me actually go to pool number 3.
Sam, I just want to give you a heads up. We have about 10 minutes left.
Okay, so I'm gonna get going and okay, sharing results. So what are the main components of a healthy river ecosystem? All of the above. So quantity, quality, connectivity, and habitat. The next one is three main rivers: snow, rain, and mix. Yeah. Key native species, they are good indicators for water quality, but also for sediment. So both of them, they would be good. Okay, now here, let me see. This is the natural hydrology. This is how it actually looked like now in California. So basically, everything that you see purple, every river that you see purple, it has an urban development impairment. We have impaired those rivers because of urban development. The ones that are in green is because they have certain impairment due to agriculture. And no wonder. Reservoirs, you can see that we have reservoirs all over the state, and they have impaired or reduced the connectivity of rivers throughout the state, and also modify the timing because they release water at different times. Lodging and land use change is all over the Sierras and all over our forest. And mix alteration, some of these. So yes, there are very few intact rivers in California. Actually, the last one that is intact is in this corner. This is for the trivia. The Smith River that is located in this corner is the only one that it doesn't have a reservoir and it's not highly impaired. We have a lot of these human impacts. I think I would like right now to share with you, we have also invasive species. This is a very noxious Orondodonus giant cane, Carrizo gigante. It is very noxious. It's been my nemesis. I've been working in different basins and it always comes. This one and another species. These quagga mussels, mostly we have in our lakes. Please, every time that you're going on a boat or on a kayak, wash it. When you're coming out, clean it, clean your boat, because that's how the quagga mussels have been traveling from one lake to the other. Pollution, we have point source and non-point source pollution. So this will be, if you have a pipe, this will be a point source. If there is runoff from an agricultural field into the river or into the aquifer, that will be non-point source. And we had a very diverse fishes in the state of California. They are rarely hanging out there. Bioindicators, the problem is not to maintain one fish. So a fish is a bioindicator of an ecosystem. And if the fish is, or if a given fish, salmon, we have the delta smelt, the yellow-legged frog, and so on, if they are going into extinction, they are just the first one in the line of the remaining of the ecosystems that is coming behind them. So that's why we have these bioindicators. Let's avoid actually pool number 4. Now this one, if there is anything that you want to get out of this, get a picture of this, and this will be on your field notebook, what you can ask people to collect when they are going on a trip. So in a field notebook, you can get the time, the date, what is the weather, and if you're in a rainy season or in a dry season. If the elevation that you're going to be is above the snow line or not, because that can help you out to see if you're going to be in a snow melt or a rainy driven. What is the main water body? Let me give you an example. I think in here, I have an example here. So this is a hike that I do. This is in Hopland. So this is Parsons Creek. The hydrologic region is the North Coast. The main basin is the Russian River Basin. The location in the watershed, we go into the headwaters, so we go close to the ridge. We pass through the foothills and we go through tributaries and we ended up in the valley. So you can close all those different locations. It is an ephemeral river. Sometimes it has water, but not all year round. It is a rain driven, is less than 5,000 feet elevation. It is not a wetland and it is not a lagoon, but you can see all the different types of wetlands and lagoons. They observe ecosystems when we go there. So we observe basically riparian, terrestrial, and freshwater. I don't bring the students to the mouth of the river in the ocean. The biological inputs, yes, sometimes we have leaf, wood debris, and migrating organisms in the river. We see landslides, we don't see boulders, we can see sediment transport. In terms of water quantity, there is an interannual variability. So it is natural, we don't have any reservoirs or dams. So if you have a dam, a weir, it's because the water quantity has been altered, wells or pumps close. If the water quality, if we're seeing bioindicators, we are seeing amphibians in this area. So that means that they are good. The water doesn't smell bad. We don't see any foam or bubbles. We don't see any eutrophication or cyanobacteria. This will be an indicator that you have poor water quality. Habitat, we see channels. We see a healthy river channel. We don't see channelization, river incision, dikes, levees. They are not in here. The likely human impact, there is no urban development, there is no agricultural development, there are no reservoirs, there are no logging or deforestation, there might be a lack of maintenance and high intensity of fires. Native communities, they used to manage the land. And here we may need some control fires and land use change. So with that one, I made it. Let me see if anyone has a question, comment.
Yeah, that was a marathon. That was amazing, Dr. Sandoval. If anyone has any comments, please feel free to put them into the chat. And we have a few moments for maybe one or two questions. But that was absolutely wonderful.
So the idea is that we're going to have these materials recorded, so all of you can go back and take a look at them. So how do you see the large scale fires impacting the water throughout the state? Okay, in different ways. So water quality, we may have some contaminants, natural contaminants that now they are going to be coming into the rivers. In terms also on the flashiness, so the grass and the forest, they reduce how fast the rain will go into as a runoff into the rivers. Now the systems are becoming flashier. That's very sad. More sediment. The rivers are getting clogged. Think that you're kind of chugging. That's sad. Okay. What was that? So Lynn, thank you. I would love to have a link to possible solutions. Okay, so here is the take-home answer for this one is that there is no individual solutions. We need to do a lot of strategies. Water conservation, using conjunctively surface water and groundwater, being more efficient in our water use, storing water. The reality is that we are using in the state more water than what we have available. We import water from Wyoming. So what I'm trying to tell you here is that the first thing is that we have to reduce our water use. And the second one, we need to do a lot of things. The third one, and that is the most important, is that all of us were part of the problem. And if all of us are part of the problem, all of us are part of the solution. We've been pointing fingers like, no, it's agriculture, no, it's the urban, no, it's the industry, no, it's the ranchers. And then no, everyone is part of this. So can you give a brief discussion? We need more dams. No, we don't need more dams. No, we have enough. And no, those ones are, and let me tell you something. We are underutilizing the largest reservoir in the state of California, and that is groundwater. Look at under your feet, we can store water in the ground. We haven't been able to do it that efficiently. So, and that one, guess what? It was given by Mother Nature. So we already have it. We just need to put more water. No more dams. All the good sites are gone. Yeah, no, we did enough. Who managed the narrative is telling that we need more dams. That is not true. Water storage and climate change. No. Thank you for the informative. Thank you so much. Okay.
Awesome.
I think we're good.
That's our time, Dr. Sandoval. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for everyone for being here.